Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Authentic Podcast with Justin Doulard. And thank you for tuning in to another episode. It's time!
Great.
Anyways, I was going to ask you, were talking about the weekend, or we were talking about it. I just was thinking, did you guys ever go to was it the Monte Carlo before it closed?
Yeah.
Because that was where he did like his music video, right? With the slots?
Yeah, I believe so. It's so funny. I'm not 100% sure. I should probably have more Vegas like knowledge than I do. I think I kind of like don't, but I saw the weekend at the Chelsea Theater at the Cosmo.
Okay.
For, oh my God, that's so funny. My wife, that's the weekend concert. Remember when I went to the weekend? Anyway, her and I had made plans to go see a concert like when we first met, and I totally forgot about them. And then she hit me up like the day of and asked me if I still wanted to go to the concert, and I had booked tickets to go to the weekend. So I went to go see the weekend, and there's something with the floor, but the whole floor was moving during the concert.
Like it was not supposed to be moving?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. They still have shows there, but it was awesome. I think it was just because of so many people. It was just like making the floor move, but it was pretty wild. But it was a really cool concert. I saw him twice the weekend in concert here.
Colton has seen him once. Loved it. I have not seen him in concert.
He
last
puts
one
on
I
a
saw
great
here
show.
was Post Malone. I did read though supposedly that The Weeknd had more people at 2 or 3 of his shows in a weekend than like some major festival or something.
I did hear. Yeah, I saw some type of a headline about that. Yeah,
like just him by himself.
Just recently
versus a festival of like 30 people. So
that's pretty crazy.
Anyways, I love that Monte Carlo video of him and kind of the retro throwback. But dude, first of all, thank you for meeting up with me and being so responsive. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for reaching out to me to come on. I'm really grateful to be here.
Yeah. So my brother puts me on a lot of stuff or shows me a lot of stuff, and then he showed me your page a while back, and so I started following, and then I thought it was unique and cool, and then of course when I come out here, I try to get an in-person one with some people, and he said you ought to hit up Jordon. So I was like, of course.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
So how long would you say you've been do you call it designing shoes? Is that what you call it?
I don't even know, man. I
You're
feel
still
like,
figuring it out?
yeah, I feel like I'm figuring it out. I feel like, I don't know, like even when people ask like, oh, what do you like consider yourself? I think an artist is like kind of too broad, but like, I don't know, man. I think like what's funny is I really just love sneakers. And so I kind of just call myself a sneaker maker because I can do other shit, but it's like, that's like my main thing. And that's the thing that I really love to do.
That's your niche.
That's my niche for sure. And we can, we'll get into why that is, but yeah, I started back in fall of 2020. I had lost my job, due to COVID, and just kind of needed something to do, and started painting on sneakers because I had some in the closet and we were locked inside. So I just kind of, wanted to have something fill my time.
Were you like furloughed, or were you?
I was furloughed for probably like 2 months or something like that. And then they ended up just removing the position altogether. I worked for a liquor distributor, called, I'm not gonna name the company, but I love the company, but I'm not gonna name it.
Yeah.
But I worked for a liquor distributor out here, and so I was just managing like all of MGM properties and Boyd Gaming and some independent properties as well on the Strip. It's like 27 in total, and I was just basically kind of like the liaison between them and in some core brands that we had, like Jack Daniels and Bacardi, some like bigger ones. And I just, they all had corporate programming. It was a pretty easy job. But all of the hotels shut down and my job basically just went kaput. But regardless, everything happens for a reason. And so I started, like I said, trying to fill my time with just painting on some sneakers, and that was fun. But like, I'm not really a painter. I never really painted growing up. It was just like a medium I wasn't really super used to. So I'd been following like the Shoe Surgeon for a while. Do you know who that is?
I've heard the name.
He was pretty much the first artist to do like this type of art, the recreating of like the sneakers, like your Jordan 1s and your Dunks and stuff like that. So he really kind of trailblazed or pioneered that. So I was following him, and I remember just thinking like, whoa, that is the coolest like thing I've ever seen, especially because I very much love sneakers, always have. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. But of course, it just seemed like nothing I could ever do myself. You know what I mean? It always, yeah, absolutely seems out of reach. So I was actually saving up for his class, but it was expensive. It was like, a few grand. And then you're thinking you also have to, it's in LA. So I have to go down to LA, and I have to room and board for 5 or 6 days, and then meals or whatever had to happen. And then I had to buy all the equipment and tools for when I come back, because I want to continue the craft. I don't want to just do it once and then stop doing it. So I'm going to take a drink of coffee.
Sure. You're welcome to that water too, if you want.
Thank you. I sidetracked myself.
You were going to sign up for a shoe surgery.
So I was thinking, I was saving up, to do that. And I was like, yeah, it's like, it's just a lot. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then another creator that I follow was through COVID offering online, like through Zoom or FaceTime, sneaker courses, basically sneaker making courses. And so he taught me his name's Minute Maid Poppy. Shout out Minute Maid Poppy. But I guess he just really loves their lemonade too. And that's like why he calls himself that, which is kind of the best. But
did you say Minute Maid Poppy?
Minute Maid Poppy.
Okay.
But yeah, he
awesome.
He was holding a class, and he taught me pattern making, and then how to turn that pattern into a physical sneaker. And so we did a Jordan 1, and that was the first sneaker that I had made, and I finished that in the fall of 2020. So I'm coming up on 3 years. This September will be like the kind of my 3-year anniversary, I guess, with it.
And then just fairly recently, you decided to go full time. Like, I'm going to dive into this, and this is going to be it.
Yeah, I went full time back in February of last year, of 2022. My wife was pregnant at the time. We lost the pregnancy, unfortunately. But when she was pregnant, I kind of just had this like urge come over me. I was working in staffing, which you and I briefly touched on.
I heard that.
So I was very unhappy.
Working 12.
Yep. I was just very, very unhappy and felt like super overworked. And it just, I just didn't feel like I was in a position mentally where like I could expand my family in that space. I just couldn't do it.
Just a paycheck.
Yeah. And it was taking more out of me than the money was worth, and taking more time than the money was worth. Because it was, like I said, like you mentioned, I was working 12-hour days most of the time, at least not all the time, but when I had certain responsibilities, because we would rotate, you'd just pull these long ass days, and it was horrible. So I talked to her about, we basically had our first ultrasound and had the pregnancy confirmed. And then I was like, on the way out, was like, I have to quit my job. And she was like, okay, like, do you want to like talk about it some more? I was like, this is that talk. Like, we're talking about it like literally right now. And she was like, okay, whatever you want to do. And so she supported me, and yeah, I just took the leap, and we're a year and a half out from that now, which is pretty crazy. It's August. So it's like, yeah, it's all, a year and a half out.
And as a small business owner or entrepreneur, whatever you want to label yourself as, I'm sure there's a lot of highs and lows. Have you seen a lot of consistency, or is it still pretty up and down?
The only thing that's consistent is the inconsistency. Total peaks and valleys, like months where you get a bunch of sales and months that you don't sell anything, and that's okay. You know what I mean? And
that's part of it.
It's part of it. And the weird thing about the business is, as I also, I never, for the most part, I never work without getting paid up front. It's too much time for me. It's too much money for me.
I did hear you say that you 100% up front.
Everything is up front, 100% up front.
it's
You can
custom.
put down a deposit, and that can, I can start designing, but you're not in queue until you're paid in full, because I can't start sourcing materials until I have the money in full.
Do you have are your prices or designs, is it like a flat rate, or do you have like an algorithm where you come up with a number?
It's tough. I've been, to be totally transparent, and I'm very much an open book, but to be totally transparent with you, it's like, I'm kind of trying to figure that out still. Right now I take a few things into consideration, whatever my current workload is, right? Whatever the turnaround time is. Sometimes they need it quickly, sometimes, and everybody always needs it quickly.
Sure.
Everyone.
They got an event coming up.
Always.
Yeah.
No matter what. And, but I will say that, those are some fun projects to just get them and turn them around quickly. They're tests, like for myself. I did a pair for a buddy of mine, Happy Life Wood. Make sure you check out his work as well. Stephen Thompson. He's a really amazing artist who carves sneakers out of wood. So if you like sneakers, make sure you check him out. But I made him a pair of sneakers.
Sneakers out of wood?
He carves wood to look like sneakers, and he doesn't dye them. He uses the actual color from the wood.
Okay. It's
very, very cool. I'm probably not doing the best job describing it, but his work is beautiful. But he had a pop-up, and so he wanted he was like, I have this pop-up that we kind of threw together, and I'm unveiling a piece. I would love to do these sneakers that we talked about. I had made him a high top, and he wanted a low top to wear to this event. And I was like, how much time do I have? He was like, they're a week from today. So I was like, and I was like, gonna say no. I was like, man, I'm just like, of course, like graciously say no, but it's like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a really quick turnaround time. I'm working on stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's just see how it goes. And I just put my head down and banged them out. And it took me a couple of days, you know what I mean? And they turned out awesome. And I still haven't posted those on my Instagram yet, but I can show you them. Oh yeah, we're talking. There's no visual, so I'll show you the photo just so that we have a reference point. But so it took me a couple of days. It takes like 25 hours or something like that to make them.
Every set of shoes?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much within that range, and so that's the pair that I made for him. But
oh wow. And why haven't you posted those online?
I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, I have like a queue, and I haven't popped them in yet. But
yeah, those are nice. They're all nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I brought a pair too. I know that you wanted to see a pair in person, so I'll bring those out in a sec. But back to pricing, it really just depends. It depends on how my workload is. This is a very long-winded answer to your question.
I'm long-winded,
but it really does. It just depends on like my current workload, how many projects I have, how much I want to do the project. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's just like artistically, if I'm not there, I'll turn stuff down. Or if I just feel like, I don't know, I just kind of feel it out. It's very rarely I would say no. I try to say yes as much as I possibly can. But sometimes people want something that I can't provide or would put me in a weird space, so I just say no.
I might be making this up, but I feel like on the episode that I listened to, maybe you said it or I'm thinking it, that it's kind of like a tattoo artist. Did you say that?
Totally. No, 100%. Yeah, you make a great point. So it's like a tattoo artist. You wouldn't go to like an American traditional guy and say, hey, give me a Japanese sleeve. It just doesn't make sense. Like, the artist can do it, but you should go to someone who's passionate about that kind of work and can put that into it.
Sure.
I also mentioned in that podcast that like that's the reason I make sneakers, and that's kind of the reason why I stick with sneakers, because that's what I love. And as long as I continue to do that, I think it shows in the work, and I think that's what keeps people coming back to the work, is just me pouring that into it.
So I know, and I think a lot of people that follow you will know, that you got to make shoes for Dana White.
Mm-hmm.
Steve will do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tiesto.
Yeah, Steve will do it. Well, so I made, I can run through that actually. So let me adjust my grip here.
Sure.
So when I had first started my shoemaking journey in 2020, I had like made my first shoe, like I said, in the fall. I had made a couple other personal pairs, you know what I mean? And then I think somewhere like right around when I had made my second or third pair, someone from Dana White's office called me. And they were just like, hey, we heard that you're a sneaker customizer. We wanted to get Dana some custom howler head sneakers for them launching in Nevada.
And real quick, since you're so early on, probably I can imagine had a ton of, you only made a couple pairs.
I was literally like, 2 pairs in, yeah.
How did they find you?
Because I had been painting. So I had been painting and doing paint customs and...
Like selling paintings to people?
No, like painting on sneakers. So
Gotcha.
doing those types of customs.
Okay.
Rather than a full build, doing like... And you can see like the transition from when I was doing paint right over to when I was doing the handmade stuff. I'm trying to scroll. I cannot believe I have service, by the way. I can't get service anywhere in this whole town. So yeah, I was doing like random paint jobs on shoes or bleaching chucks and doing random stuff. So
you're just posting content.
Right. And so people knew that I was doing custom sneakers. I started doing them just kind of on pairs for me, but then people liked them and wanted pairs done. So I did a couple pairs for people, and then that was short-lived. Like I said, I ended up, thank you. I ended up going over to the hand-built stuff. That's a pair of threes that I really like. They're based off of those Bruce Lee Kobe's. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm just fascinated that you can paint these and it like sticks and stays well. And
yeah, I mean, it's still paint. It's still subject to all, you know what I mean? But it's like Angelus is good stuff. Any acrylic is good stuff. And you prep the leather too. You have to take acetone to it and prep it and remove that factory sealant. Then you have to seal the leather once you're done with it and, put a matte finisher on it or whatever you're putting. So you have to do a couple of steps in between, which is, again, it's stressful. And, like I said, my hat's off to all the good painters out there because it's not easy, like at all. But I was doing custom sneakers, and so they'd approach me and were like, hey, we want to get some custom shoes for Dana. And so that was like my time where I was like, oh my, I have to pitch them on like a handmade pair. You know what I mean? Like I have to pitch them on a handmade pair.
Well, that was your idea.
Totally. Because they had just approached me just for customs. And when people the average person, right, the layman doesn't know the difference between what I do and what I used to do. It's a perfect example, right?
And he's a billionaire, so he's like, just give me this product. Like,
yeah, he loves
I'll
shoes.
pay for it, so.
Don't get me wrong. He's a sneakerhead. Like, he's a diehard sneakerhead.
Yeah.
But like I said, most people aren't going to even know the difference between what I do and what a painter does or something like that. And all the good work blends together because all the good work you can't tell is work anyway. You know what I mean? It kind of muddies the water even more. But anyway, he is definitely a big sneakerhead. I got sidetracked again. I'm running off like a few hours of sleep, so I apologize.
No, you're fine. I was.
So we were just kind of rolling through it, and so I was like, I had to pitch them on a handmade pair, and
but
so
they just messaged you on Instagram.
Called me. So I guess the longer story, even longest. Dana White's personal trainer also trains us, and so.
You have the same trainer as him?
Yep. And so
that's cool.
Yeah, he trained a lot of girls that were in the industry, as they would call it. My wife works in the industry here, so the nightlife industry. And so he was he trains a lot of women in there. And so he also has some buddies that are one of them has a resale business, like a sneaker reselling business, and then a lot of his friends are kind of big sneakerheads. So I think they kind of maybe someone that worked for Dana asked him just because he had friends that were into sneakers and he kind of was too. So anyway, so they were like, hey, do you know anybody? And he was like, actually, yeah, my buddy Jordan customizes sneakers, hit him up. And it was just as easy as that. So he passed the information or passed them my information. They called me and I told them, okay, we can do, a whatever pair, but really we should do a handmade pair. I just started making shoes and we should do a handmade pair. I can do full custom. I did the whole thing. And so they were like, all right, cool, let's do 2 pairs. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do. And so they were like, what are your prices? I was like, what are my prices? I don't even know what my prices are. You know what I mean? And so
I got the deal. And now you're like, oh shit.
Actually, I charged them I think to be totally honest with you, the perfect amount is what I charged them.
You didn't upcharge just because
no, oh fuck no. I would never do that. That's so disingenuous to me. Like I couldn't even imagine doing that to somebody.
Well, I think you're a rare person these days.
Thank you. Like. I would hate for somebody to treat me like that. You know what I mean? And think that.
Because he probably never even saw the money come out. I mean, he's a billionaire.
Fuck no. And these were a gift for him anyway.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even aware of these. This was his staff that were getting. I mean, I'm sure first of all, Dana is very generous. So I know he takes good care of his staff. So I know that even with the cost of what my product was then, even they're definitely showing their gratitude towards him. I mean,
I did like the way he said during COVID, he was like, I'm not stopping as much as I can because I have staff,
people that depend on him.
Yeah, not just fighters. I have cooks. I mean, everything you can think of. So
he is a very, very generous person. I'll tell you that. We'll get more into Dana because he's a pivotal reason why I think my career took off. My career, quote unquote. It's weird saying that, right? My career took off as quickly as it did. So shout out Dana White, But so they were like, let's do it. And I was like, holy shit, dude. So I thought about what price and told them what price. And they were like, cool, that sounds perfect. Couldn't believe it. Hit up my friends, Michael and Jasty. They're really close friends of me and my wife. And I've known them for a long time. They make custom furniture. And so they were during COVID, they started customizing just your kind of IKEA furniture, doing like tables, and they're super artistic and very talented. And so I was like, dude, do you guys want to make like a box for me for these shoes that I'm going to give to Dana? You know what I mean? Like,
this
it's going to be sick.
Ones?
Yeah. And you saw the package. I mean, it looks unbelievable. Like they did such an amazing job.
With
Flossy
the Nike
Customs
and the
LV.
eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I really appreciate you knowing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, their attention to detail, it's so funny too, because we get along so well on a personal level, but then when you artistically get along with somebody, it makes everything so much better. And Michael and I, he's a wonderful musician. I can't even say enough great things about Michael. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful musician. And so he and I used to record stuff in our teens and perform around Vegas and different things. There's probably some people that have seen me sing a song or two, but yeah, like we just jive. And so I was happy to hit them up and ask them about the project. And so they, I mean, definitely over delivered and made this really big, trunk, and like it just looked beautiful. The shoes were a little, looking back on them now, I can definitely like see the progression that I've made and the progress that I've made, because they were, they hurt my heart a little bit now, but
little things that you see now.
Yeah. Well, just like it was literally, so I made a couple pairs, got the order, but I was like, I cannot make them right now. You know what I mean? I should have really brought my second pair that I'd ever made, just so you can see the difference. I made these so you'd be able to like kind of compare them, but they were,
because when you made these, you were still working full time, right?
Still working full time. I may not have been working full time when I first had made those.
Okay. I
didn't start working for the staffing firm until it was like March.
Okay.
I think of 21. So maybe it was around there, right? But I made a couple more pairs. I made a couple more personal pairs before I started working on Dana's. I was like, I just got to like figure some things out. And I was stumbling, or, I really should say fumbling. I was fumbling through the process still at that point, because I didn't really know what I was doing. So, but of course, nobody had to know that. But so I had made like a couple more personal pairs, and then Dana's, the two howler head pairs were like the 5th and 6th pairs I'd ever made. That's so crazy. I make them, we get the project done and over to him. He takes the time to like, I dropped it off at the office. I'm sorry. And then he ended up calling me. He ended up posting them on Instagram. I'm trying to get my timeline right, so I apologize that I'm fumbling. But yeah, he posted them on Instagram, which we were like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. He had like, a couple million followers at the time. And I like couldn't believe he was like, I never do this, and was like, yeah, it's a really cool video, and it got a bunch of attention online, and he tagged me and he tagged Flossie Customs and with the Mike and Jasty's business, and so it was just amazing. And that's one of the things that I mean when I'm talking about Dana being like generous, you know what I mean, where it's like he didn't have to do that. He knows how much that helps, and so he's willing to do it.
Yeah, I watched the clip several times where he says,
awesome.
I get all kinds of stuff. I'd never really do this.
Yeah, but he really loved the art, and I knew he was a sneakerhead, and I knew the kind of stuff he liked, and so I just tried to deliver to the best of my ability. So he posted it. It really was like amazing. We were so happy about it. And then he calls me, and I was like, oh my, like I literally just like pick up the phone, and he's like, we were here for the no, that was the Howler Head fanny pack thing. Damn it. I always see that it's like my memory's not great.
But he did call you?
But he called me, and yeah, he called me a couple of times. He's, like I said, he's great, and he's given me a lot of business over the years. But he, during this time, called me, and he was just like, hey, dude, like, I love the sneakers. I want to get them, or I want to get a pair for the Nelk Boys, one pair each, for the Connor fight, which was like 2 weeks after I had given it to him. I gave him the shoes in the beginning of June.
So another quick turnaround.
Dude, it was like 12 days for 2 pairs.
But you got a yes, sir.
And I was like, oh, yeah, 100% I can do that. 100% I can do that. And so
burning the midnight oil.
Oh, dude. So literally I was just like, okay. So I just, first of all, I couldn't do anything for the first few days of it because I was having to like overnight everything. Source all the material still, because I didn't accumulate the material that like I have now,
because I was stock.
I was so early on, right? So I was so early on that I didn't have anything that I needed, and they wanted to do like a top 3 kind of concept where one sole was different than the other sole was, and so the shoes were kind of inverted.
Okay.
Where one was blue and red and the other one was red and blue, and they were blocked opposite of each other.
They were Happy Dad shoes, right?
The Happy Dad shoes, yeah, exactly. But I had to buy 2 sizes of each donor, right? I had to buy 2 pairs of shoes per pair I was making, so I could take the left from the blue pair and the right from the red pair. So then now I still have them in my closet, you know what I mean, the mismatched pair. And then I had to get all of the material and everything, and so I couldn't really do anything. And then it got there, and I was like, okay, like I just had to, rush and try to get it all done. But of course, I want to make them as clean as I possibly can. And I'm trying to, still kind of figuring it out too. I mean, even I said Dana's were the 5th and 6th, so the Happy Dad pair was 7 and 8 pair ever.
Do you see that?
Wild.
That's wild?
Wild. At that point, I had made 8 pairs, and 4 of them were for fucking Dana White, which is insane to think about. 50% of my pairs at that time were going to an A-list celebrity. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like crazy. Yeah, exactly. And someone who's very influential in Vegas too. He knows everybody.
Yeah, he's basically a local now. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy's a local legend basically. So it's like for him, I was like, this is crazy. And so that's why I was like, yes, sir, I can do whatever you need. And that pair was. I thought those pairs were going to break me, dude. I thought they were going to break me.
Was that the dog story?
That was the dog story, yep. So I was making them. When I say pushing them along, I mean like grinding them out. Still having to work the day job, so I could only work at night. You know what I mean? So, and except for on the weekends, I could bang them out. But I think there was only like 2 weekend days in the whole span of when he asked me to when I had to deliver them. It was mostly the week. So when it got down to the last few days, I just pulled all-nighters, and I'd get like 30 minutes of sleep maybe. It'd be like 6 o'clock, and I'd go and shower, and I would take like a 30-minute nap. Alarm would go off, and I would just go right back to it, and I would work during my lunch.
Burning like fire.
Horrible, dude. And then it gets down to be like a couple of days out, and I have a large golden doodle. We have 3 dogs, but one of them is a large golden doodle named Hudson, and he's the best. But he jumped up and grabbed one of the uppers, like the leather part of the shoe, and just ripped this tongue apart. And what? At
that rate, do you have to start from scratch, or can you?
So thankfully, he only got the tongue.
Okay.
So he didn't touch the rest of the shoe.
So he's still alive?
Oh, man. Well, ultimately, that dog could do anything. And I would probably love that dog more. I don't know why. He can do no wrong in my eyes. But ultimately, too, I know that I have a large dog, and if I don't want him to get things, it's my responsibility to keep them out of his reach. He's a dog. Like, he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants to do.
Fair.
Like, if something looks good, he's going to be like... So I kind of have to take accountability when I fuck up. So I knew that... Jordan. And I was just like, I was like, that was me. So I just sat there. I cried a little bit. And I was like, well, let's just get back to work. And so I just tried to make the tongue. I didn't have enough lining material because, again, I'm just buying stuff. I don't know how much you need for certain things. And I ended up having to switch these liners out. It was just this whole big thing to get consistency throughout the pairs, but I ended up getting it done. Like, stitching them on the morning, I had to deliver them. The morning I had to shoot them, like stitching the soles on. And like I said, I went to Flossy Customs LV again, and Mike and Jasty made those cooler styled Happy Dad boxes.
Okay.
The white coolers looking boxes for the shoes. And then that was a Saturday, and he ended up gifting them to I'm so sorry. I gave him those on Friday, and then the Connor fight was Saturday. Saturday is when he gifted them to Steve and Kyle. They posted. He posted, I think, and tagged me, and Flossie again, which was, again, very, very generous of him. What's funny, too, is I hurt myself real bad in making those shoes one night because I was so tired.
I think I remember hearing
during the lasting process. There's like a pair of pliers that you use to pull the leather over and stretch it over the last, and so I should have brought a last. And I pulled, and it slipped, and I hit myself right under the eye, and just gashed right under my eye, right on my eye socket, and it just was leaking. I could not get this fucking thing to stop bleeding. And
did
I was
you go
just
to urgent care, or did you just tape it up? Or?
It was small. It was small, but it just bled like hell.
Yeah.
But I knew I was like. I would have maybe gotten one stitch if I would have went. It was in one of those spots that just bled.
A nuisance than anything.
Yeah, totally. Didn't even make my eye swell or anything. But I was just like, oh my, what? And that was like after Hudson had eaten the tongue. So it was like, it just felt like Murphy's Law was kicking my ass. It was like anything that could possibly happen was happening with these shoes. And my wife, actually, she was just like, it just means that it's going to be worth it. It just means it's going to be worth it. All of the hiccups along the way just mean that it's going to be like, the project's going to be worth it. Just keep it going. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay.
It's very corny and cliche, but if it was easy, everybody would do it.
For sure. That's a great point.
Custom art, custom whatever you want to label
I definitely look at them as art pieces, for sure. So you hit the nail on the head.
I mean, there's a reason there's not that many people doing it.
Totally.
They don't see the behind the scenes like that.
Yeah. And we can get into that too, because I could go on a long time about that specifically. But so there was just a lot along the way, you know what I mean, with that project. And so then come the day of the tournament, it's funny, like I was told my mom, and she was like, oh my gosh, like I told grandma and grandpa they want to like order the fights, and I'm like, Mom, I'm like, this is like, two guys might wear these sneakers to the fights. Like, this is not like
you're not going to see their
you're
feet.
Not going to, like, if like we may get a glimpse if if the stars align, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if they do, I'm watching it. I'll get a screenshot and I'll send it to you, but don't worry about it. Little did I know. And then we're not even together. She physically, because we're basically attached at the hip, my wife and I. So this is the one time we're not watching a fight together, because we actually watch every single fight with our friends.
Yeah.
So we were big UFC fans in general. I think being from Vegas, you kind of are a little bit more of a UFC fan than I think most places. But I was with like all my best friends, and we're sitting there like the people that we watch the fights with, and we're watching these fights, and Bam Bam comes up. I have no idea about anything. I have no clue. So I'm just sitting there watching it. Bam Bam ends up knocking this dude out. And then, like, because of the replays and stuff, when you're watching it live, it didn't really happen like it happened Like, it seems like it happened. It was very confusing when you're watching the feed live, because like, you're like, oh my God, like, what is he doing? He's like up on the cage, like, because it kind of cuts to him and he's already drinking out of the shoe, but it's from front, so you can only see the bottom of the shoe. So I'm like, we're kind of like looking, we're like, what shoe does he have? And I'm like, it is a Jordan 1 sole, I can tell. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
of course. I'm a very optimistic person too. So I'm like, you never know. Like, I think I'm going to hit the lottery. I'm like the person who actually thinks he's going to hit the lottery.
I like it.
And I feel like you kind of have to believe that. But sure enough, it cuts. I'm watching it. It's here. And then it cuts to the side. Ultra slow-mo, like 4K, my shoe. Liquid coming out of it, Bam Bam drinking it on top of the cage, and my phone just like, first of all, I look over at my best friend, we're like across the room from each other, and we're like,
that was it.
We're like what? And then like immediately all of my friends are like, that's your shoe? And we're like, that's my shoe. And we like lose our minds. I call her. She's freaking out. She was watching it with our other friends because she had to work. So she kind of did. It was like a time thing. So she was hanging out with her friends, our friends. So we weren't together. But I called her. I was like, I can't believe it. She was like, I told you it was going to be worth it. I told you it was going to be worth it. And then it was just crazy. And my phone just blew up. Like all of my friends calling me
because they all probably knew you.
And I posted. Which is total luck, by the way. I'd posted the high tops that morning because, again, I had to shoot them like that day. So I didn't really have time to like post them. And I'm not like a fire off posts kind of person. I'm like a post and then like I'm going to wait a day or two at least, normally like a few days, and then I'll post again. So I posted the high tops first just because I didn't even know why. Maybe I just thought the high tops would do better or something. So I hadn't even posted the lows, but the highs and lows matched. And everyone had seen the video of Dana gifting them to Steve and Kyle. So they knew what the shoe looked like if you saw the video and were paying attention and kind of, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it was just like the craziest like bow on like the gift wrap on top of the, the whole project. It was like just insane. Like it's still so crazy to think about. Was like the probabilities of it.
Yeah, and then like you said, getting it all on camera, because it may have happened live, but getting a slow shot of it, seeing because couldn't you actually see them pitch the shoe to him or the beer?
There's so much media. Like it really, like, it's like you can't even think of a better like outcome. Because you're like, to your point, there's professional photographers everywhere. And he just slept this dude who everyone wanted him to get knocked out anyway. So then he did it. You know what I mean? So everyone's already pumped up.
A lot of times when he does the shoey, it's on the way back to the locker room.
Yeah, he'll grab a fan's shoe or something.
And sometimes you catch it, and sometimes it's 3 seconds.
Yeah.
This one was on the cage, like you said, the stars all kind of clicked.
It was unreal. I still think about it and it just blows my mind. But that just took everything to the next level. I got so much business from that. Like, it's not even funny. Like, my career was built off of that moment.
That's so awesome that it went like that. And then you took the risk. You were like, hey, I've made 4 pairs, but I got to say yes. I'm going to figure it out. And through all the trials and the dog chewing it and cutting and cranking it out in 10 days or whatever. But that's what I was gonna kind of go into is you said that kind of blossomed your career and goes outside of the big names like that.
Yeah.
Who are most of your customers? Are they people like is it a lot of locals? Is it people all in line across the US?
It is a lot of locals. Way more locals than I thought it was going to be when I had first started. You know what I mean? I thought, maybe like some of my clients will be locals, but they're like mostly all locals. But I have obviously like,
online
a fair amount of international clients, but like,
oh, you do international as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so funny because it's almost like Vegas or out of the country.
Really?
It's really strange with the, of course, like occasional, but not everybody buys sneakers that are thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So the customer pool is very limited. Plus, there's a lot of people that don't trust the handmade shit. You know what I mean? They don't understand it. And there are a lot of people doing it. And I think certain people might be offering their services a little early, you know, and I think that with those types of customers that are going like to try to dip their toe into like the handmade, you're going to go a more economic route. And so you go to somebody who's kind of newer, and I think maybe it's a lot of money still, you know. You mean, you go someone cheap, you're getting $1,000 pair. That's for someone cheap.
And at the end of the day, while you have some high-end customers, and I'm talking maybe people that don't know you locally, you've got some credibility and beautiful work. At the end of the day, you know, you're an independent guy on Instagram and have a website. You get 2,000. You know, you're not a large company.
Yeah.
There's no customer service to call if someone's mad.
Exactly.
So I could see where people are timid, or word of mouth or referrals is the best part of business.
And it is.
Hey, Jordan made my stuff. Like, he's great. Go with it.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, like, I feel like I have like the best clients in the world. Like, they all are just, like I said, I know sometimes they'll be like, hey, I need this like ASAP, but like, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I love it. I do great under pressure. And so I'm like, let's go. Let's bang this project out. You know what I mean? And so I have a lot of really great clients. I couldn't have imagined how many local clients I have, because of the fact that it's such a niche thing. You know what I mean? You would never think that, but it's also a lot of gifts. So a lot of what I do is, it's not just like your guy that's like, hey, I just want to like have a very unique pair. It's like, so-and-so's 30th, 40th birthday, 50th, 60th birthday, or an anniversary, wedding pairs, you name it. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of special occasions.
For Tiesto, was it his birthday?
It was his birthday, yeah. So actually the Resorts World, or the nightlife group that she works for, Zoo Group, they hired me.
I was going to say, did you bridge that connection, or was that more on your end?
Yeah, no, that was pretty much you, right? Yeah, so it was pretty much my wife. She's my best marketer. But
and is he a shoe guy?
Not really, but
there was just a unique gift for him.
Exactly, it was a unique gift for him. They did a whole racing theme where they got him a custom bomber jacket, and like a custom hat, and it said Tiesto Racing on it. It was actually pretty badass. It looked awesome. And so they sent me all the files, and I got custom patches done and made the shoe out of real crocodile and leather and Velcro. And so that way he could kind of attach the patches to match the bomber jacket. So the shoes and the bomber jacket had the same patch options. You could just pick and choose how many you wanted on at a specific time.
Oh man, I'm like you, I'm long-winded, or I can go down so many different rabbit holes, but I'm like, where does an individual, like one person, buy authentic crocodile?
Honestly, the only place that I have gotten it from is a company called American Tanning.
Just an online leather company?
It's just an online leather company. And there's a lot of legalities that go along with crocodile that I didn't even know about. To my knowledge, and I've never, I shouldn't even say this.
You're learning so much.
Yeah. To my knowledge, when you make a product out of croc, there's a white tag that you'll get on the skin when you receive it, and you're supposed to apparently keep that with the product, so that way they're able to source where that skin came from to make the good that you have. It's almost like a receipt of authenticity, maybe, or shows you the origin of the leather, and make sure that it wasn't maybe an animal that was poached.
Yeah.
So
isn't that crazy?
So crazy. And I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So I go to them because I know that they source everything legally, and that's that. You know what I mean? Like I really try to stay on the up and up. Python is much easier to come by. There's a company out of New York that I'll buy it from. Amtan also has it. American Tanneries also has it. I love working with Python. It's so easy to use.
Have you followed Conor McGregor for a while, I assume?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that I think it was on the UFC Embedded, when he had I think it was a pair of Python shoes that supposedly he had to have like a license for when he traveled.
My God.
He was bragging about, and I'm probably butchering it for sure, but he was bragging about when he traveled with these shoes, they had to have like a special tag or something because they were like...
Dude, I'm not kidding you. It's probably the croc thing that I just talked about.
Yeah. I'll have to look it up later and send it to you, but it was
because Python doesn't come like that. Python, you don't have the little tags like that. It's like just with croc that I've seen. I've only really worked with Croc and Python as far as exotics go.
And so when you designed shoes for Tiesto, did you actually get to meet him, or did they just give that to him?
No, they just gifted it to him. I'm getting out my iPad too.
Yeah.
I figured you'd be interested to see it.
Yes, please.
Has all of my designs and everything on it.
The other thing that I was going to talk about, I lost my train of thought there. Let me see.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's coming to me. Tiesto.
No, it's okay.
I was thinking it'll come to me.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so this is like my iPad, and so when a customer commissions me and they give me their idea or we talk about it, I'll create a mock-up, and then that's what they will receive.
You posted this on your Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Or on the story or something?
Yeah, I try to have like a highlight. I do. I'm really, really bad at my Instagram, to be honest with you. It feels like such a chore.
We need your marketer to
Yeah.
take it over.
She feels the same way about it, though. We're very like, oof. But
I mean, in my opinion, that's pretty impressive if you're already kind of at this level and you think that like you're not great with your content.
yeah, I
Just
mean,
showing
it's
that it could go.
yeah.
I think it's good, but
Thank you.
I
I
don't
just
really
know I can do better. I think it's more of just knowing that I can put more effort into it. Again, being honest with myself and just having to be like, I can put more effort into that.
I would say I think it's I don't know what the phrase I would be looking for, but you're not just pushing stuff out to overcloud it. You're like, I'll wait a couple days.
Yeah.
You're not just like constantly flooding it with garbage. You're like, I'll spread it out. Or
I also can't. I mean, I can either like, yeah, I can do 10 different posts about one sneaker, sure, but I don't like doing that either. You know what I mean? I like to keep it to like 2, 3, maybe. If I'm super excited about a pair, I'll do 3, but 3 posts about it. But it's also because these things take so damn long. I'm only making 5, 6 pairs a month, maybe 4 or 5 a month, and sometimes less, depending on how in depth the project is.
I didn't know I think that was something that I was going to talk about or lost my train of thought is a lot of these are gifts for, people with good taste or art. So I wonder if you ever have a shot at getting some for like some of the Knights or the Raiders, because those guys have money and, a lot of those guys are into sneakers.
Yeah.
It'd be cool as shit if you could get like Max Crosby a pair.
Dude, 100%. And I know him and Uncle Dana are boys.
Yeah.
I think it's all in due time. I think, I've done a couple Golden Knights pairs. I haven't done any Raiders pairs yet.
I saw the baby ones.
The little toddler ones. Yeah, those were cool, right? So I've done it, and I tagged their social person, and I don't know, whoever is running the social media for the Golden Knights account needs to step it up, I think, a little bit, because I tagged them in a bunch of shit, and like I don't get anything on it. And
They don't ever like it or anything.
Never. And I'm like, it's such a unique thing, and I'm a local artist, born and raised here. But who am I?
And, I mean, I could be wrong, but I would think that, like, especially in the off season, they're probably not getting tagged a lot. Like, there's not a, there's not a lot flowing. Of course, they did just win the Stanley Cup. So.
They did. So who knows? Maybe people are just tagging the Knights like crazy, and who knows?
I like the big companies that have really engaging people, or it's not, I guess, so business savvy where they'll respond like, "Thanks, we love you."
Yeah,
the Knights. Or
for
put a
sure,
smiley face when
you
like
expect a little bit of personability, I think, with an account, with a larger account.
I remember when, I think it was 2 summers ago, we came out here with my son and we took a picture in the airport, welcome to Vegas thing.
Yep.
And I tagged like the Vegas Instagram, and they like responded and said like, so cute or something. I was like,
yeah, and you're like, oh, cool, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Do you want to see a pair that I brought?
Yeah, get them. I know we got probably about 10 minutes, so you guys can get to your dinner and show. Same here. So,
what's tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Okay, let's see.
Anything you want to share? So this is like the design. Also, we can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I feel like, but
what's the theme here? Is there a specific like?
So I didn't mean to just ask you a question and then totally make it about myself.
No,
but so this is, I made these like a couple of months back in May. this is the Mac Attack. I want to say that Nike originally debuted this shoe in 1984. I think it's 84 or 86. But it's John McEnroe's like signature shoe. So I wanted to make a pair, and so that was the result. I really kind of was looking for a super neo vintage look on these. So I did the dye on the soles. I really wanted them to feel like they came straight from the 80s and somebody found them in their attic. That was really the goal.
The retro look. Well, you did good. They look awesome. And these are yours to keep, or you're going to sell them eventually?
They were actually a personal pair. A lot of stuff, sometimes I'll do it just to do it. This was pretty much to test the pattern and see how it was. And so I just decided to keep them as a display piece because I don't really keep too much stock normally. I
know we probably should have covered this early on, but we talk and go. When you say donor pairs and you're buying those, what does that mean?
Just the soles. So just those soles there, all I'm doing is buying a pair from the store and ripping that sole off of that shoe, discarding. Well, I keep them.
You're buying a actual pair of shoes?
From Nike, yeah.
But it's not like discounted or anything?
I mean, if I can get them on sale, maybe, but that's it. Like, you know what I mean? But they're Dunks. You know, I get them from authentic Dunks.
Okay.
In this case, that's a Dunk sole.
So you're using the sole, and then everything else is
everything else is made from scratch. So I create the upper of the shoe, get that all taken care of, and then all I really do is pop a sole from a different sneaker onto it. So I source all the materials myself. This is all calf skin from Italy.
For real?
Excuse me?
Calf skin from Italy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of the stuff that I get is calf skin. It's Italian calf.
Does that take a while to get in, or is it pretty quick?
You'd be surprised. It's really not. There's a couple of good websites. I have a good relationship with a couple tanneries.
I'm sure Italy. Once you get rapport and rolling, like you're probably a preferred customer, or not. I guess not preferred, but they know who you are and it's consistent.
Yeah, I think they like the uniqueness of the product. I definitely wouldn't consider myself necessarily like a preferred customer, but I think that they think it's cool. You know, I think it's a different application than what they normally do. But a couple of the tanneries, like the tannery that I bought, the red cracked material there, that was actually a collaboration with them in a company called District Leather Supply out of Atlanta, Georgia.
That's cool. It's kind of like the Lost and Founds.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's really meant to emulate the 85 Jordan 1 metallic pack.
Yeah.
You know, and that really just that OG metallic 80s basketball sneaker shoe, you know. So I thought it was a perfect material, but they make leather for Saint Laurent and Gucci and Fendi, you know, and so I'm sourcing materials from, you know, some of the best tanneries in the world. Ultimately, they're sneakers. There's only a couple different ways you can make them, you know. So I try to just do it the correct way. I try not to take any shortcuts, or at least any shortcuts that are gonna degrade the quality of the sneaker. But I try to use the best materials as well. And I think that the comfort that you get from a handmade pair, especially one that's made out of calf, is unmatched. I mean, they feel so much different than a factory pair. It's like, it really is night and day.
I'm bouncing backwards, which I do a lot, but it made me think, and I meant to say this earlier. I think that's, in my opinion, maybe why a lot of your customers are gifts for people, is because, you know, it's a high-end product, not something you can get on the shelf. And when you're talking about a guy like Dana or Tiesto, or, you know, other customers are important too, but those guys, it's probably hard to find gifts for them that they can't go buy themselves.
Right.
So you're like, this guy I can't buy him anything he can't get himself.
Yeah.
So how can I get creative? And you're like, okay, no matter what, how much money he had, he may not have thought of this on his own.
Yeah.
So it's very unique and kind of.
Yeah. What do you get the guy that has everything, right? You know what I mean? And I think that
something custom.
Something custom is always the way to go. And I'm happy to be able to provide a service like that, you know, to be able to take people's ideas and take their inspiration and be given the freedom to design and then create the product after. It's just awesome, you know.
While it's not like I know you don't stamp your stuff with like 1 of 1 or 1 of 10, you know, like, these were built for me. These are my shoes. They're custom most likely nobody has these pair of shoes.
Yeah. And I think for me, I have a hard time committing to certain details, and that's why you don't see like a logo on my shit or anything like that, because I just have a hard time committing to it. The farthest that I've gone is switching out the A in Air Jordan, or the second A in Air Jordan on the heel of my shoes here, so it says Air Jordan spelled the way that my name is spelled.
That is cool.
So I customize in that way, but you won't see like a logo on any of my stuff
Ever?
Not necessarily ever, but just I have a hard time committing to them, and so it's hard because like I would love to have a detail that I can show them, like a little tag that says 1 of 1 or something like that. But it's hard for me to commit to a certain design because I feel like I'll just get sick of it, and a lot of those places you have to do large quantity orders to get, you know what I mean, like
something custom
tags made, yeah, like woven labels or whatever the case is. But we just got an embroidery machine for the house, and so I feel like the possibilities kind of go up now that I have a machine of my own.
I know that you're learning everything probably day by day, week by week, and you're still figuring things out. Do you have anything planned for the future that you do you have any visions or any goals as far as growth or really anything? 2 to 3 year plan, anything that you could give us some insight to?
Yeah, I think I'm really open. I don't really have to be honest with you, man, 5 years ago, I would have never even thought that this was possible. 3 years ago, I would have never thought that this was possible ever in my whole life. And so like for me to be doing this as a a full on like career and not have a traditional job, like it just blows my mind still to this day thinking about it. And so I think I might still be, maybe it's me just still being in the honeymoon phase of it all, but I just feel like I'm super happy doing things the way that I'm doing them now. I'm definitely going to lean more into the educational side of it. So I'm building a Patreon right now, and I'll have a bunch of how-tos and really trying to ultimately provide a super in-depth, easy to follow how to make a shoe my way. I think
so you'll offer like a video class or something of the sort?
Honestly, I can put everything into my Patreon and just have tutorials that are broken down, and that's just follow along.
I saw your Patreon link, but it doesn't have anything on it, right?
It doesn't have anything on it yet. I haven't made it active. I'm still building it on the back end, but so it'll be a how-to guide, and I'm really going to try to make that affordable. Like I said, I still had to pay over $2,000 for my class just to learn.
And that was the more affordable option.
That was the more affordable option, especially because I didn't have to travel to LA. Virtual. It was virtual, so that cut a lot of the cost down too. That was the reason why I was able to like kind of jump on it.
Did you pick it up pretty naturally after the class, or was it
I was
tough?
Definitely a natural, but I've been drawing my whole life.
Okay.
I've been with a pencil. I've been drawing my entire life. Not the best artist in the world, but I can.
But you've been doing it.
I've been doing it for a long time, and I also I've been drawing sneakers for as long as I can remember. I mean like like all of my friends have sneaker drawings from when I was a kid, and I would tell people that I would be a shoe designer at Nike. That was like what I told people when I was a teenager, that was going to be my job. And then I like forgot about that and got reminded of that. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot that I used to say that. So I guess I'm kind of adjacent to that now.
I know that is a big question that I think you put it on your TikTok, and I'm sure every single person asks you. So I wanted to as well. Is there risk in being pursued by Nike with this, or is what you do pretty safe? What
I do is pretty safe, but there's also a very thin but clear line as to why that is. The people that get in trouble by Nike are the people that are trying to mass produce product, but they're also taking an Air Force One, taking the swoosh off of it and putting some bullshit on the side. You know what I mean? Like
you can't do that.
You cannot do that. They have that. You're just
to resell, or
well, they have design patents that for the actual shapes of the sneakers, for the design, the overall look of the sneaker. The anytime you can confuse the buyer, or you Nike profit off of the likeness of the product, right? I make a shoe or I'm not talking about people like me that are making them one by one. I'm talking about like the brands that you see when you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, and it's like I said, the chunky donkey, but the swoosh is a fucking star, you know what I mean? Or it's like a wave or some shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll just like, it's a lazy way to do it, to be honest with you. And so they're the ones that get sued by Nike. You're mass producing, you're profiting off of the likeness to their product. You're getting done. But like I said, I have to buy an authentic product. All I'm doing is customizing an authentic product. It's just a very in-depth custom in which all I'm really reutilizing are the soles.
Have you read, I know this is kind of going off, but it made me think, have you read Phil Knight's book?
Shoe Dog, right?
Say it again?
Shoe Dog? Isn't it called Shoe Dog?
Maybe.
I
I know because I did read it, but
I have not. I've heard great. I got to do an audiobook. I cannot sit and read a book.
I won't pretend like I'm a great reader. I have to really be into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be all over the place. My mind just goes crazy.
I'm so sporadic where I'll pick up a book and I might read 30 pages and then I'll put it down for 2 weeks and I'll come back. But anyways, I read Phil Knight's book and you'd probably like it. Maybe the audiobook.
I'm sure I would. I really need to.
He about tapped out like thousands of times and at one point owed so many millions in taxes because the tariff, he didn't understand the right tariff trades and the import taxes and he had to go like to the government and ask anyways.
Wow.
But probably one of the I didn't really even start like wearing Nikes or Jordans like ones or anything like that until probably like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of new to me and intriguing, but the one thing I was telling my brother that I like a lot about Nikes is it's like one of the few products where people who you could make $12 an hour, or you have billionaires like Dana White wearing the same pair of shoes.
Yeah.
You know,
it transcends a certain amount of.
Yeah. Like not everybody is going to be shopping at Gucci or Prada or those high-end brands, but like most of everyone has a pair of Nikes or they're affordable for everybody. For sure. So
yeah,
it's
for
just
most
unique
people
to see a guy who has $1 billion and then a guy who probably has, $10,000 wearing the same pair of shoes.
And see, so I was a big sneakerhead in high school, right? I was the guy that had the sneakers in high school. I just like, I was like buying and selling and trading, and it was really just like in it tough. And I got to a certain point after college where I thought I was just like, I mean, keep in mind, this is, I'm talking like the early odds, like 2011, 12.
Yeah. Did you graduate 09 or 10?
I graduated 09.
Okay.
So it was people didn't wear Jordans like that. It's not like it is now. So
it's not as popping.
No. So like I stood out wearing Jordans. I played basketball, and so, but I stood out wearing Jordans. I was like the only, you know what I mean? Like I was like the only guy wearing Jordans really, of like my friend group for sure. Nobody wore Jordans. So I
don't remember a lot of Jordans in my high school. Way different high school, but still.
And it's like I just got like very self-conscious about it, and I kind of just shied away from it. I thought I was too old. I was like, oh, I just need to be like mature now, and I need to have this sense of I don't know, you know what I mean? Just the insecurities that you go through in your early 20s, I suppose. And sold my whole collection. I was also in college, needed the money, you know what I mean? Sold my whole collection and just didn't really think about shoes for a few years, and then kind of got back to it. And I feel like it's just one of those things where I always find my way back to it. You know what I mean?
That's cool, man.
I just love, like I said, I say it all the time. I love sneakers. I absolutely like love the feeling of putting on a new pair. And my point was that, you brought up only wearing Jordans for the last couple of years, and I really think that the whole revolution of the Jordan 1 and the Dunk is the reason why I can even have a career doing this, because I think before that revolution over the last few years, because you're not alone, right? Like I said, 3 years ago, I never would have thought I'd be able to do this, because I would have thought there would be no way there'd be enough business out there. And my business is very volatile. Like I said, it's very up and down, but like, I'm doing it, you know what I mean? So It's like I have enough business to keep me afloat, which is crazy.
And you're still really early,
super early. So it's like, and my machines are already paid. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, now I have everything. I've accumulated a bunch of material and stuff. Like, so you're probably finally profitable.
You're probably out of the red, right?
Totally, yeah, 100%. I've been in the green, but I've also charged, and I haven't let up on that. Like I've charged what I felt I was worth, and I don't
like a premium price, and you stand by it.
Yeah, because I follow so many makers, and I'm always checking prices. And as soon as I see like the prices start to kind of like bubble up, my prices go up because I know the type of work that I provide, and I'm not going to get lost in the shuffle.
If you look at a lot of like the good consistent brands in anything, whether it's like food or clothes, they stick to their prices and they stay. And then a lot of them don't offer coupons or discounts, and they'll strictly say, we believe in our product. We price it fair to what we think it is, and we're going to leave it at that. Because once you start nickeling, you know those stores where, I don't know, like Old Navy, for example, everybody waits till they get the half off coupon because they come out every 48 hours.
Exactly.
You don't want to be that guy where someone's always waiting for your Black
Friday next sale. Yeah, I've never really offered that. I've never really offered sales. I mean, I used to post when I had openings because I just would. There was a long time after the whole shoey thing, I didn't take orders for months.
Why not?
Because I had just taken them all. I had taken everything that I could handle, and you get to the point where you're 6, 8, 9 months out, booked out, and you're
maxed out,
and you just stop taking it. It's like I would love to take that money, but I still have to make the product on the back end.
So kind of like an art tattoo artist, you closed your books basically.
Totally, because I don't want to be like chasing. I'm chasing the tail of the dragon always because of the way that my business works. Right? I again front load. Everything is up front, and then you have to do the work to tie it all up. So it's very easy to take in all this money and then bullshit your way through the work. You know what I mean? And I try not to do that. So I have to stop at a certain point and say, you know, at A, this is like an unrealistic wait time and people aren't going to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And B, I don't want to do that. So. Yeah. I don't want to have commitments for 9 months down the road.
Yeah.
Like I want to keep it to 3-4 months max. And like that's where I like to stay. I like to be able to.
Yeah, because 9 months is, I mean, a lot.
It's a long
time. Yeah,
totally. And who knows what would happen? And I get offer. You know, I'm not gonna say like everybody wants to work with me, but I get offers fairly consistently. You know what I mean? About whether it's teaching or whether it's anything, right? It's niche, but because it's so niche, it opens it up. If it makes sense, if you're once you're in it.
Well, like a lot of things we talked about, I think that says a lot about you as a person. Just that you're not trying to cash checks early on, especially when you're like, hey, I could probably use all the money I can get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm 3 years in. Who knows if the next couple of months is slow? The fact that you're sticking to your values and not just cashing checks and putting months out, it says a lot about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I try not. I really try to do business the right way, and we're a dual income household, so that 100% helps. I'm not only worried, like we're not only living off my income, and at this point it's so volatile it would be hard to, you know what I mean? It would be stressful too. So I wouldn't be able to do it without my wife, so I always have to thank her every opportunity that I get. And I think to your point, or to what we were talking about earlier, like plans in the future, it's like as long as I can keep this thing going is what I want to do. I do, like I said, there's a big opportunity for the educational side of it. It's like a money grab, and it's very gatekeepy. Very hard to get information for free or for a reasonable price. So I just want to provide that and really just kind of offer an outlet to the creators that are like me. They love sneakers, they're passionate about it, but they don't have the means to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to learn this craft. And you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Education should be affordable. I'm not saying education should be free, but it should at least be affordable.
100% agree.
And right now it's just not. So that's my goal, is to just really give them an outlet and continue to, because then I can teach while I'm pushing my own side projects along, and I can kind of be a win-win.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I know that I can show people how to do it, but like you said, some people aren't going to take it all the way. Some people want to just see it, but they don't necessarily want to apply it. They just kind of are interested in the process, and they like to see behind the scenes stuff. Not everybody is going to take it and run with it. Plus, it's like just like a chef, right? You can tell that you can give the recipes to two different people, but the end product will be different.
Well,
because
just for
of
fun,
their own...
I clicked on your Amazon store list. I was like,
yeah.
What would this look like? And I was like, holy shit, this is
random stuff.
Well, like, I don't think people see how complex it is. And
oh yeah, but it's also not. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It's really easy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really easy.
But you're also an artist.
It's hard to do it well, right? It's hard to like, it's probably easy in like the way that building a bike is probably easy-ish. Like once you know what you're doing, but not everybody can build a Harley Davidson, right?
Sure.
So it's like building the shoes are pretty straightforward, but I think you do have to have passion. If you want to really deliver a good sneaker, you have to have passion for it. I've been wearing sneakers my whole life. I know when a sneaker looks fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know when a shoe looks wonky. I know when a shape is off. I know when something's too big, too small, pushed too far left, right. I can spot it immediately on most like classic Air Jordan or Nike models. I have a very weird spatial awareness with the sneakers, but I think it really helps me.
Well, I think you do well at it and keep coming back to it because it's authentic and genuine and you actually enjoy it versus someone who's like, I just want to crank out shoes because I know I can sell them for $2K.
Totally.
So,
and honestly, I mean, like the easy thing for me to do would be to like sell the same shit all the time, and I can make like the fucking
like mass produce something.
Yeah, and I can do like like Chicago everything, and I can do bread everything, and I could do Royal everything. Like, you know what I mean? There's like Travis everything. There's so many easy ways to sell things, and I'm not saying that like you can't make an easy buck, but my goal isn't to make as many pairs as possible because it's still pairs that I'm just making as one guy. So for me, once I make one pair once, I don't want to revisit that pair. I would rather make something completely different. My prices don't go up when people are like, people think my prices go up if you want a completely custom shoe versus a normal, like a shoe that I've made previously that I have on my website, whatever. My prices do not change like that because it's still the same amount of time for me. Yeah, maybe I'll have to source a material or two, but who cares? Like, you know what I mean?
Shipping and ordering.
Yeah, and it's like charge it to the game. It's like it's a business expense at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I can use the material in the future. So I always push for, let's get you a one of one. Like, let's not, I know you love that shoe. I know you like the shoe that I made. Let's make you a one of one. Let's get you something that's truly personal because it's funner for me. Plus the internet's already seen it. Like, I don't need to show it again.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. That's a big part of it because I treat my Instagram like a portfolio. That's why everything's not on my Instagram. That's why I'm not like dicking around on my Instagram because I treat it like a portfolio. I want people to be able to look through it like a portfolio. I wish I could be more personal on it. And maybe at one point, I try to keep that for the story. And then I try to have like my actual feed, my posts be more like a portfolio.
More business.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been a great time. I know you have to get to dinner.
We do have to get to dinner, unfortunately. I'm so sorry.
Close us out here. Tell us anything you want to plug or where we can find you or whatever that may be before we bounce.
Yeah, Jordon Diab on everything. At Jordon Diab, Jordon, spelled a little differently. Jordon Diab. D as in dog, I-A, B as in boy. But that's on everything. www.jordandiab.com. But that's really like my website's more just to kind of funnel like invoices through. It's like like I said, I like everything to be one of one, and that always happens like through email or someone will hit me on Instagram, and that's why I think I'm so like I monitor everything because you never know how people are going to reach out to you. Anyway, this is the outro. But no, yeah. If you follow me already, thank you. If you can follow me, that would be amazing. I put a lot of love into these projects, and thank you to everybody that shares it. I know you said your brother put you on, so thank you. I really do appreciate that. I think people don't understand how far a simple share can reach. You know what I mean? And so for someone like me who's just starting out and so dependent on the social media aspect of it, the shares and sharing with your friends is just huge. So that's why I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to reach an audience that I would not have had the opportunity to speak to before. But yeah, if you like art, you like sneakers, please, like I said, give me a follow, check my page out, and I hope that we can do it again.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Keep up the good work, and thank you for taking the time to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, man.